GPT and Gemini today are better idea generators than human beings. Smart humans have 3-4 good ideas, but after that, all their ideas are generic. You cannot have a world where it's just AI or human. I think we're going to live in a very meshed world. So all the people saying, look at me, I'm so skilled, they're going to be useless after some time. Let's start an error-free pancake business in Bangalore. And this time we're going to do it with AI. And it's very accurate. It'll give you the total cost, profit, break-even, everything. The communication between you and your teams, only 30% is in your employees' heads. Your clarity as a leader or lack of it can make or break careers. One person is doing 90% of the work, everybody else is not doing the work. A high performer doesn't want to work in a team like that. I think it's very important that you treat your employees like someone you are responsible for helping. Everyone can improve unless there's an attitude issue. Skill is the least likely of the reason you might lose your job. This is not very far away. Where you're talking to your AIs all the time. They know enough about you, and therefore when you're telling your teammates some feedback, you're like, I don't need to write that email. The AI will write the email on my behalf because it knows me and it knows where this person is lacking. And you meet the best directors, best CEOs in the world, they'll all tell you some version of this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For people online, this is a new session, it's going to be a new video. For people offline, we're doing two back-to-back because it had been a long time since I'd done the last one. And it's very hard to get everybody's schedule at the same time in the same place at this point. So we spoke about the lightning way. Now I'm going to teach you how to implement the lightning way using AI. Okay? Let's go back to core concepts, core topics, AI. How to write better, how to think better, how to have clarity, how to do research better, everything. Okay, no one's seen this deck. It's going to be useful. Let's begin. How to use clarity and AI to manage computers, people, lead, delegate, and think about teams. A little bit of the previous slide, a little bit of the previous deck, but now with computers. Ready? Let's go. Let's zero in on writing. How many of you are bad writers? It's okay, you can put your hand up. How many of you want to improve at writing? Everybody? Lovely. Writing is a type of thinking. There's a reason today with AI, I can't upload like 10 documents of Varun Maya's old writing and say, write like this person. It'll speak in the style of me, but it won't end sentences the way I do. Because it can't extrapolate situations like I do because it's not thinking like me. It's mimicking my style, it's not mimicking my thinking. Okay? Writing is a type of thinking. It's active thinking. Right? Next slide. I feel like most people's writing is unclear because their thinking is unclear. And I think it's very hard to have clear thinking. And it's very easy to convince yourself that you've started to think clearly. The only way you can tell if you've thought clearly or not is when you put it into action, when you've executed it, and it has led to results. Okay? Next slide. Let's do an amazing thought experiment. I love doing this thought experiment. Rohit, come here. Come. A very fun thought experiment. So Rohit runs Yas. Welcome, Rohit. Okay. Rohit, I'm a genie. Okay? I'm going to give you 3 wishes. But remember, I'm a KD genie. Okay? I have my own ulterior motives. So what is your first wish? Come on. What's your first wish? He's buffering too much. Can someone? Hey, go sit. Go sit. Shaurya, you come here. It's fine. Come. Watch time will drop. Come on. Shaurya.
My wish is to come up with incredible content ideas.
Okay. Come up with incredible content ideas. 2 other wishes. Come on. Why don't you just ask for unlimited money?
I don't want to, but
Okay, why don't you ask me interesting things? I want to know all the secrets of the universe. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay, Shaurya wants to know all the secrets of the universe. He wants infinite content ideas, right?
Yeah.
And what else?
Infinite money.
And infinite money. Sit down. I told you I'm a KD genie. Okay? I'm not the average run-of-the-mill Aladdin genie. I'm a different genie. I'm evil. And most importantly, I take things too literally. That's the kind of genie I am. I take things too, I'm Reddit. Okay? So as a genie, my job now is to take his wishes and translate it. So first he asked for infinite content ideas. So now I'm going to slam his brain and his synapses with infinite content ideas to the point where he can't stand still. Okay, now infinite, just flashing content ideas. What's the next thing you asked for?
Use
secrets of the universe. So now I'm going to jam every single piece of the secrets of the universe into his brain at the same time, so he's not like he's hallucinating and like crazy shit is happening. He wanted unlimited money, infinite money. So I'm now going to make him the owner. Actually, forget that. I'm just going to dump money on him so that he drowns. And some people have been sophisticated with me in this experiment. They think I'm doing a gotcha. So they'll be like, I want to own like all the top companies in the world or some shit like that. And I'll always be like, well, if you owned all the top companies in the world and you had majority equity, what would happen immediately is the stock market would see that you have now owned all the companies in the world. They don't know who you are. So all the stocks will crash, right? If suddenly some company that you had, ownership changed overnight, what would the public do? They'd sell their stock. Okay, then you start getting sued. Some of these companies have lawsuits. So it becomes all the baggage of all the top companies in the world. And this is what I meant by KD Genie. It's actually a literal genie. A literal genie means somebody who takes everything literally. Anything you say, they will execute exactly as you are, as you want it. And the only way to get the genie to execute exactly what you want is to be very precise. Bro, I want exactly $500,000 in exactly this bank account, delivered through non-fraudulent means, delivered for work and services from, a big company that nobody would check. You have to be that literal if you wanted to work with a genie. Because genie does the same thing AI does, no? A genie is filling in context for you, right? When you say I want unlimited money, how does the genie know that unlimited money means only $1 billion and only in these bank accounts and only through non-fraudulent means? Like, money can't just appear in a bank account, just so you know, right? It needs to come from somewhere, right? And that coming on, unless you're doing fraud, and that coming from somewhere, how does the genie solve that problem of, your tax at the end of the year? Like I always found it very strange, okay? So, the reason I ran you through this thought experiment, next slide, most AI and human employees are exactly like the genie. It's a very good way to think about the problem. I told you my job is to think of ways where you can model this in your head of why writing is important, okay? Which is that most people take things too literally. Not to the extreme of genie, because they're not being KD, but to the extent of their context. Okay? I'll give you a very good example of this. If you tell AI, generate a picture of an ice cream, what color is the ice cream going to be? Some people said white, some people said chocolate, brown, some people said raspberry, purple, whatever it is. He'll generate one of those colors. It's taking a random shot. Okay? Now, if I asked you to ask your best friend, कि इसके लिए ice cream लेना है, what flavor should I get? What are the odds your best friend will get it right? 100%? Okay, some people say 100%. What about the rest of you? Do you think your friends will get it right? Now, what about your co-workers? If I asked you about Divin, you work in the same office, what's his favorite ice cream color? Flavor? Chocolate. Chocolate, is that true? Divin says no. Divin says no. Now think about this. For a simple concept like ice cream flavor and color, he has put a different context for what he wants. Now imagine for work. Imagine how this is being compounded across work. It's exactly the genie problem, which is the genie is filling in random context. A KD genie will fill in negative context. A good genie will say, well, I will reroute money through these Singapore, Switzerland accounts and then finally bring it to your bank account and then make your tax, everything easy for you so that you have all this money and then you're happy without any issues and liabilities. If I give you ownership in companies, then I'll figure out how to make you own the companies while everybody in the stock market hallucinates that you are the rightful owner or something like that. It's a positive genie. It's filling in positive context for you. It's all the gaps that in your dialogue, whatever gaps are there, it's filling in with positive things or it's filling in with negative things. But in the real world, it's not positive or negative things. It's somebody else's things. Okay? Most AI and human employees can do whatever you ask, but if you don't provide enough context, they will do what is right for them but wrong for you. They will fill in context from what they know or understand. Okay? Companies hire for experience and taste so that the employee can fill in poor context that the management gives. Like the worse you are at managing people, the more you need experienced talent. Like with EOS, when we started the company, we started with completely inexperienced people. Well, some people were experienced from the scenes team, from my past team, but most of it was inexperienced people because I was willing to sit down with the team and explain context. I was willing to sit on every video and be like, ये ऐसा change करना है, ये ऐसा change, ये करना है, वो करना है, whatever. We're willing to sit and do that. But I didn't have to do that with Ocus. Because I'm like, bro, Ocus, everything you do, I agree with, like it looks good. I don't have to fill in extra context for you. Okay? Companies hire for experience and taste so that the employee can automatically fill in poor context. How to respond to clients is something that takes several years for people to learn. Okay? But we hire from existing agencies sometimes for those talent. Why? Because they already know how to do this. I don't need to fill in that context. Correct? Do we agree with this? That's why management expects even skilled people to have experience. You could be really good at what you do, but if you don't have the context filling ability, your taste matches the taste of the company, you're always going to do your own thing. Okay? Next slide. Writing. Now we're also going to use another word for writing called prompting. It's a more popular way of using writing. Is the act of providing context. Remember we spoke about the fact that writing is clarity, context is clarity. Okay? What is in your head? And I would say between the communication between you and your teams, only 30% is in your employees' heads. Whereas with my leadership, because I've spent years with them now, it's been 3 years since I've been working with them, they know everything. They know my health issues, they know which kind of car I like, they know where I want to buy a house, they know where my houses are, they know which trip I've gone to, they know which foods I like, which foods I don't like, everything. We have so much shared context that if they needed to make a decision on my behalf, they can do it. Which, by the way, they technically do at those specific company level. Right? And it's vice versa. I can make, if they are gone, let's say if Rohit is gone for 2 weeks, I can easily make a decision on his behalf. I know how he thinks. So we are filling in each other's context from a business perspective. Okay? And that's why years of experience in a business matters if you're picking up context that the new company that you're joining needs. Next slide. Okay? Now, how is the best way to give context? What is the best way to give context? Just give examples. For example, if I told you, bro, मुझे इसका ये ऑडियो है, इसको 4 फाइल में स्प्लिट करके भेज दे. Very low context. Okay? But if I say I want you to pack each output file as a .wav in a folder called fixed_files and make sure each file is labeled based on the date of the recording and the take number, example 01_05_23_take7.wav, then you know what the file order is, right? You know what the folder will have, what kind of files it will have, what the names of those files are, and what you can expect in each of those files. Now, if I tell somebody else in my team, you are going to be expecting this with these waves in this folder, makes life much easier. But you know how much time you guys waste right now sending each other files, which doesn't have any of this, where you have not done enough of the context setting work, right? So examples is the best way to make humans and computers understand what you want. So even when you're talking to the AI, if you give it enough examples, it will understand context. Next slide. Okay. So Andy Grove, this is a very famous example. He asks a new line cook to make pancakes. Okay. He forgets to say golden brown on both sides. Okay. So the rookie flips it once and sends, like one side is fully cooked, the other side is undercooked goo to the customer. And of course, customer is like, bro, one side of the pancake is not brown, it sucks. I don't like this. The lesson is that the bottleneck is almost missing spec. Spec is that writing sheet, whatever needs to be done, or explanation or instruction. Not missing skill. Because missing skill, you can go watch a YouTube tutorial today on anything, right? Write precise checklists and run one-on-ones so the line cook's mental model matches the boss's. Okay, how do you make the mental alignment between the guy who's the cook and the boss? How do you make them in sync? How do you make them think like each other? Okay, the experience, after some experience between the two, when they both work together for a while, there are fewer pancakes in the trash, but only because the veterans invented their own checklist in their heads. So if I work with you together and I don't write, over time you know how I'm thinking, okay? But that's only because we've worked together enough such that you can fill context. It's not happened through a sheet, okay? And it's much slower than sending a sheet. Okay, there are some people in some companies who will write a sheet on what it's like to work with me. If you're joining my team, I'll send you a document. This is what it's like to work with Rahul or whoever it is. And I think it's amazing, right? Because you're setting so much context for the other person. Senior engineers aren't really 3 times faster coders, okay? It's better to think of them as context repair technicians, right? Your job is to find out what does the company need, what is the problem. I know the context of the code base, I'm solving it faster. right? You've already solved those problems many times, so you know how to solve this authentication problem, for example. Okay? You overpay them because management sucks and their briefs are actually underbaked, right? You're sending a underbaked brief, and therefore you're having to pay this person extra to be able to do what you don't know, what the company's confusion is. And I think the main reason we were able to be bootstrapped is we ran enough experiments before fully starting this out as a company, such that we were like, okay, we know exactly what we want to do, so we don't need to hire other people. We don't need to hire people who we don't need as a company. Whereas other companies, they'll raise some money, seed funded companies, they'll hire like 30 people. And they're like, I have one role for everything. Like, why? One of my team editors, like in some way, are meshed with me. Okay, now we've added some more people to the team. That's why there's a little bit of like long form is not exactly what I want it to be. But I think with my old team, they have so much context. I don't need to give them further instructions. They know how to make that Heijan avatar talk. They know how to make it. They know what tonality I use. They know the kind of words I use. They know the kind of words I don't use. They know what kind of angle we should go for. Like they know everything, to the point where I would argue they can create content on my behalf, which is what happens actually on a daily basis. So you can get to that level where you've made, and because creating content is writing, it starts as writing. We've done 300, 400 scripts together that they're just like, I know. Now I know what it takes to do this, right? And I think in the beginning, I gave express instructions. Now it's just like, it's a fully automatic process, right? So this meshing comes over time. But what I'm saying is by writing, you can abstract it out and you cannot have to spend any time. You can do it on day one. Next slide. Okay. So let's say we'll run this experiment. Okay. Let's start an error-free pancake business in Bangalore. Okay. And this time we're going to do it with AI. Okay. Next slide. We're going to do a business. We're going to run an experiment of running a business in a totally different way from how every other business is started. We're going to do it the way EOS was started, with lots of research and writing. Okay? How many of you here work actively on channels, who've written channel briefs? Some of you guys have, right? Some of you do this work, but let's do it very technically. Let's run it through a process. Pehle, let's do some research. What is the scope for a pancake business in India? So we'll use, now it's GPT-5, that time it was O3. By the way, I've written these decks many months ago. So let's start researching. Here's the context to the genie. I want to start a pancake business in Hebbal, Bangalore. I have 50K per month to spend on this, but I can spend a few months upfront for equipment if needed. Can you deep research and tell me what I need to spend on and who to hire and how to get customers? Okay? Make me a number-dense business plan for 1 year. See what all I'm asking for. What all am I asking for? I'm telling it my budget. This is my budget. This is all I can afford to spend. Make it work in this. Tell me who I need to hire. Tell me the space, everything. I want you to think about everything I have not thought about. You fill in my context. And you know why I love deep research? You know why I think it's one of the best tools ever invented? You know what it will do after this? It will ask you to fill in context. And I wish, again, you can't put the responsibility of this on the employee. But I would love if an employee just stood up and said, Varun, great instructions. I have 5 more follow-up questions. It will never happen because that's not the employee's responsibility, right? It's kind of the leader's responsibility. But I think good leaders can also do this, right? Which is you only think about what the follow-up potential questions could be and ask those questions. Okay? So the next thing after this, next slide, is it will say, thank you for sharing your budget and location. To create a detailed number-dense 1-year business plan for your pancake business in Hebbal, Bangalore, could you please clarify a few things? And I wish every time you guys ever wrote something or gave any instruction, there was an AI that just popped up and said, good job, Manjot, I have 5 questions for you, right? And then added those questions to the bottom of the document that you were giving your employees. I just wish this happened. So do you plan to operate from a physical location? Because I'll tell you one thing, like we did a proposal for a company recently, right? The follow-up questions were so expected. But I was just like, I should have done the extra work and just put it through deep research to figure out what are the questions they'll ask, because humans are not that special. Anyway, do you plan to operate from a physical location? What kind of pancakes are you planning to offer? Do you have existing equipment or will everything need to be purchased from scratch? What are your operating hours and days per week? Do you plan to run the business? Do you plan to cook yourself or hire a chef? Do you have preference for marketing channels? Would you do it through Instagram? Would you do food delivery apps? Would you do local events? Okay, that's the thing. Deep research questions force you to think harder about context. And AI doesn't do this, the deep research part of AI does this. So it's the genie, but now with glasses and a tie, where it's like, yo, before you give me that wish, would you like the money fraudulently or would you like it through legal means? Do you want to be drowned in money or do you want it in your bank account? Like, I wish there was an AI. I mean, I wish the people were like this, right? Next slide. And I think the cool thing here is now it will give you everything. Okay? It will give you, so it's given you how much it costs for kitchen appliances, utensils, furniture and fixing, and AI is great for this. Like, this is all like generic stuff that anybody can do, but AI is like very thorough about this. And it'll give you exact costs, etc., etc. How many of you think the costs given here are correct? They may be correct, they may not be correct, and here's where I do what I like to call the AI bullshit test, which is I now pick up the phone and I get clarity on all those costs. So if it's saying that my staff salary is 22,000 rupees, okay, for let's say a person who's sitting in head cook for 15K making pancakes, I'll be like, let me go to a restaurant. So I'll go into a restaurant, I'll sit down, I'll be like, can I talk to the chef for a second? And then I'll be like, sir, I'm doing a research project, I just want to know what your salary is, right? Because I'm planning to hire somebody like you for my, pancake business. And he'll give me a number and I'll write that number down. And sometimes, here it's saying 15K for a head cook, but I'll find out, maybe in Bangalore in this area, it's 30K. Whatever. I fill this slightly fake data with real data. But some data it gets right, like marketing, right? It'll know Instagram ads, it'll have a roughly good idea. So over time with AI, I figured out what is the correct number that it spits out and what is the number I need to reference check. And ideally, you ref check everything. You call an expert in each and every one of these fields, right? And it's not hard, right? Like, for example, if you want to find out how much the electricity bill is, someone in your family would be running some sort of business who's done some electricity thing. Someone who knows something about this, call them and ask them, okay? And at the end of this, you will have a perfect list. For example, everything with how much it costs to buy, the pancake flour. You can just go Namdaris down below and find out and multiply it by how much you need. Within about a day, you'll have all the edge cases covered, because that's what deep research is for, with specific numbers of how much it costs for everything, because you've done phone call. So that's why I believe that AI in the future, even for analysis, stuff like deep research, you need AI to give you all the edge cases and humans to put in real number and avoid hallucination. Because this is going to be picking these numbers up from some blog post or something which will be 5 years ago. It won't be today's numbers. Okay, next slide. Okay, and then it gives you a projection. Then you feed those numbers back and you'll be like, AI, sir, you are wrong. Here's my updated list of numbers. Here's my notebook screenshot. Okay, and then it will give you the total cost, profit, break even, everything. Right, and it's very accurate. Trust me, I use this at a much higher level of scale than this, right? And it works reasonably well. Okay, next slide. Then you pick up the phone and sell and hire the people. Then you do, and this is why I believe like you cannot have a world where it's just AI or human. I think we're going to live in a very meshed world where AI is going to do the skill stuff. So all the people saying, look at me, I'm so skilled, they're going to be useless after some time or less useful. But then there's going to be other people who be like, I can use the skill and do stuff with it. I can build a business or go out and run around or whatever it is. And those people who are doing both skilled and this other, I don't know what you call it, soft skills, those people are going to do fantastically well in life, right? You pick up the phone and sell and hire the people. So you pick up the phone, call different chefs, go through whatever sources there are to call chefs, everything. Like just do the hard work of talking to people. Okay, next slide. And then set up software for tracking and then design incentives and KPIs for each person. Remember the lightning way previous episode? What do we speak about? Incentives. So everyone, unless you want to be the kind of person like a Zumba trainer coming in saying, chef, you can do it, you can do it. Unless you want to be that kind of person, you need to be the kind of person who's setting up incentives. The only way we can do 5 things as a company, we have 5 different units, right? The only way we can do the 5 things and all 5 are profitable and running, and the 6th one, game dev thing is making progress. The only way we can do it is everyone's incentives are set up. And the way I do it is I talk to OpenAI and I say, boss, design incentives for the talent with a clear incentive for profitability and making sure nobody wastes much, does well on good sales, please make it simple. See, I'm a stupid person, right? I'm outsourcing everything to AI. It'll give me the best incentive. And AI will go, it's read all the books in the world, it knows what the best incentives are for human beings given the situation, and it'll come up with incentive. And I love this, right? Because it's like total monthly sales if it's 70,000 or more, 5% of total sales are cut out as a bonus pool. Okay? And if you miss it, no sales bonus. Food cost percentage, so if you're less than 30%, if you're wasting, then everyone keeps the sales bonus above. Otherwise, sales bonus is forfeited. So it's a double incentive. It's like the first incentive is if you hit a sales target. Second one is you lose that bonus if you cheat, if you're wasting too much food. And how you split the bonus is head cook is 60%, helper cashier is 40%. That's it. This is how you design incentives. So I always feel like you can design an incentive and it will be the 9th or 10th or 100th or 1000th time that you design the same incentives that other smarter people have designed. And all that information is here. Just give it your exact context. Tell the genie everything about your situation, it will give you good incentives. Next slide. Okay. Next thing in a situation like this, let's say we've started this company and we've started the pancake business and it started running. The next thing you really need to watch out for is unreliable narrators. Okay. Which is a problem that happens in every company. Which is I was alerted to work-life balance was an issue at YAS some time ago, some 3-6 months ago, something like that. So I checked into YAS a few months ago, maybe 4 months ago, because it's been a few months since I made this deck. And I random sampled 4-5 teams, okay? So new teams had 2 editors editing 1 shot a day. Okay, to give you context, Team VM editors edit a shot in 30 minutes. We do 1 shot in 30 minutes. Here, 2 people were taking 1 day to edit 1 small shot. And I was like, what is going on? Then I found that 50 to 60% of time was going in finding B-roll. So they're sitting on their computers, scrolling and finding B-roll. Okay? And not editing. So I'm like, don't you have already some of these templates and memes and cutoffs? They're like, yeah, but every video requires us to go and find good B-roll that's for this specific video. One person had created a story that they were working too hard after I think seeing one of the night teams that arrives at night. Okay? And I think this is all unreliable narration. So a lot of people then will correlate and be like, there's 2 editors working. Nobody sees the inputs. They're like, output-wise, oh, the guy was working at 8 in the night, 9 in the night. Whenever somebody misses their timelines, they sit longer in the night and work. So somebody's like, look, sad guy working at 9 in the night. That person becomes an unreliable narrator. Okay, because they're looking purely at output. Okay, or what is happening right now without looking at why the person is sitting at 8 or 9 in the night. New editors, and this is very important at YAS, which is something you'll figure out only if you run a services company at that scale, is new editors are 1/5 as fast as editors with 1 year of experience. Have you all noticed this? A new editor who just finished, let's say 2-3 months of AV cohort, or just be hired from outside who's new, is not going to be as good as somebody who's worked 1 year at VM or 2 years at VM, right? They're going to be much, much, much faster. Okay? And they find the expectations much harder to match. So a new editor will obviously find the expectation of 1 shot a day much harder to match, even though it's fairly easy. At 1 year of experience, editors usually have a great work-life balance, but unfair expectation at the 0 years of experience. So somebody who just came in is not going to have as much work-life balance as an experienced person, even though the output expected of 1 video a day is the same. And this is what I call a complicated situation. Because if you looked at it as a low context genie, you just be like, editors are being overworked. But when you look at it and be like, 2 editors, 1 shot a day, you're like, wait, really? No, I don't think it's that overworked. Maybe they just don't have enough experience, right? And this, I would say a lot of the company design was starting to move towards, because we were hiring lots of editors, right? Because we were scaling a little bit quicker. A lot of the company design now became 2 editors working on 1 shot a day. I'm like, this is a waste, because in 1 year, these guys are all going to get really, really, really good. And then you're going to find that these people are now working half an hour a day, right? Which is not optimal use of our time, and definitely not worth the kind of salaries we're paying, right? So yeah, unreliable narration can make reporting and your incentives wrong. And this is important because in the pancake business, this might happen, right? Which is that food waste is a very high incentive, to show that the less food was wasted, or very high incentive to show higher monthly sales, sell it to random people. Like, I'll give you an example, okay? With buildings, this happens a lot. Do you know there are some buildings where they won't sell you a floor, they won't rent you a floor below a certain price, because they're like, if I sell it below this price, the valuation of my building falls, and I'm a public company, so my entire valuation falls, so I won't even sell you rent you the floor. Do you know this is really common? This is like the most common, like in my opinion, scam in Bangalore, right? Which is they won't rent you, like the building nobody would have rented the building for the last or forget about the building, even a floor they wouldn't have rented for the last 5 years. And they don't care, they leave it empty because they're like, the minute I sell it with 100 rupees per square feet, if I sell it at 80 rupees, the valuation of the entire building becomes 80 rupees into number of floors, 12 floors, the valuation of the building drops by that much. And that reflects in my stock market price. So incentives, fully wrong. Next slide. And I think a lot of this is also because we don't collect and report performance very well, right? So if you go back to the pancake business, everyone should be reporting what they've done. It's the easiest way. It's how business runs on autopilot without you as the leader, Zumba leader, telling the chef every day, please send me reports, please do this. You want to run on autopilot, do incentive and have them report. This is Ronit Mangnani. You all familiar with Ronit Mangnani? So Ronit sends, in my opinion, the best hiring reports, like the best weekly hiring reports. Weekly hiring update week 20, straight WhatsApp. Okay, total number of people hired 8. Okay, so whatever week that was, this is many months ago. Out of which video editor 7, infographic designer, freelance 1, other role 0, number of people joining in the coming week 12, right? Of which video editors 8, script writers 2, 1 full-time, 1 intern, account manager 1, infographic designer 1. With 12 people joining in total, I think this might be the highest week in terms of new joiners, just hoping there are no shows. And then he has notes. This week we didn't close any scriptwriter, manager, presenter, which is quite bad, lots of bottlenecks to be removed. This, if you did this across the entire company, it would be fantastic. Next slide. And I think any irritating work you do right now, any part of your work which you feel is irritating, messy, this, that, whatever, you can be scaled via writing, tool use, AI, and intent. Next slide. And here's the thing, right? Intent doesn't show up in KPIs. If you have a target, let's say I need to make 5 videos a month, your intent for how, this thing you wanted doesn't show up in that KPI. It'll show up in performance. It'll show up in the output of the channel. Okay, so some of these can't easily be captured in KPI, right? Like how much does a person care about a company? It's very hard to capture this in number of videos made. The person will be brain dead or just hate the job and still do 5 videos a week. Next slide. Now I want to move a little bit away, to talk from incentives and talk about how we just use AI across everything. I feel like you want clarity. The entire idea with writing is clarity. You can do a lot more than just writing at this point. You want something, let's say you're making a video about cows emitting methane, give me interesting, funky thumbnail ideas. It'll give you a bunch of thumbnail ideas. This is obvious, everyone knows how to use this. This is pretty easy. But then you can dump it into Nano Banana, the same outputs from GPT, get a bunch of outputs, see which one you like, and send that to your team instead. Right? I wish my top teammates would send me reference thumbnails and say, can we go on one of these references, similar style? And then I pick one and then they do the next piece. Otherwise, they'll make something and then we have to go back and be like, hey, this doesn't look good, we have to do something else. So this mood boarding, I think can be done very well with AI. And as a content company, we use this a lot, but we should use even more of this. Next slide. Right? One good example is in one of our videos, we have a person having a panic attack. I think in the game, we have one of the guys having like an attack, right? I'm shooting a video where the main character has a panic attack. Give me movie references for a panic attack, including camera angles and shakes. So you might have a creative who will come and be like, main ye movie dekha, ye wo. I'm like, actually AI can do that for you. This referencing of material. It'll give you, it says, okay, in Sopranos, in the driveway collapse, there's a panic attack, this is what happens, here's the camera cuts. And you have that for everything. For Iron Man 3, the dinner PTSD team scene, you have the exact 2-shot. Calm 2-shot and then hidden edit to a shaky 35mm close-up with panic trigger word hits. Okay, so you can have all of these. So I just feel that you can spend more time watching these scenes and videos. So you can look at these and then open YouTube and watch that exact scene or video. And then you can also go to AI and say, give me more niche sources. Okay, and it'll give you more niche sources. Or you can say movies from different languages. Maybe in Korean, someone's done a great panic attack. And you've never seen that. But AI can now reference that, like surface that for you. Okay? And then you can share the scene reference with your teammates and DOP. Now you might think this is stealing, this is copying. But let me guarantee you, we've done so much work on content. We make thousands of videos, 2,000 videos plus a month. Everything is a reference of another thing, but with a twist. And when you execute this, let's say you see a nice panic attack scene in a Korean movie and you say, I'm going to execute this with my camera, because your background is going to be different, your camera is going to be different, the way you do it is going to be different, your output is going to look different from everything. Just the act of executing on somebody else's idea makes it a totally different execution, and that becomes your style. And you meet the best directors, best CEOs in the world, they'll all tell you some version of this. So it's the same with edits and techniques, right? Find references. If you find a reference, it makes your life so much easier. Otherwise, you have an unclear idea in your head कि मैं ऐसा and snake animation बनाऊँ ये वो whatever. But you have a reference, be like, I want to make something like this, and then you do it. But when you execute it, do it in your own style. And yeah, GPT Gemini can give you ideas if you feed in the clip on how to make something different in the same with the same grassroots idea. You want snakes moving, put in GPT and be like, well, how would I do this with lions? Might come up with an idea that lion heads go like this and whatever. Like, you know, GPT and Gemini today are better idea generators than human beings. Because maybe a human, like smart humans have 3-4 good ideas. But after that, all their ideas are generic. You can try this with anyone. They'll have 3-4 good ideas that they talk about all the time. The rest are all very generic. Whereas GPT has unlimited good ideas, man. Gemini has unlimited good ideas. If you prompt the genie the right way. If you just tell genie, give me an idea, it's going to give you the most generic idea because it's filling in context and assuming you are a normie who wants normal idea. But if you go in saying, I want specifically a panic attack reference from Korean movies and then give me extensions on how you can make this even better or different ideas, different executions of this idea, it does a fantastic job. And I just feel like people haven't used these tools enough. Important, and we've spoken about this before, do not expect your teams to know what's in your head without references. So today you know this, right? You can go to VO3, you can give it one of these. Once you've done this work, you can put it in VO3, get the output, okay? Whatever it is, whatever shot it is, and then replicate that shot in real life. You guys know you can do that, right? So VO3 fine could generate something that looks bad or not realistic. But you just need the camera angles and some reference, some idea you wanted in your head. Now the idea is in your head. Now you can execute in real life with cameras, right? In fact, you can now do this with Nano Banana. You can put in a script and be like, generate comic book panel references for each frame. And it does a fantastic job. You have every frame, every shot, everything on a comic book type strip reel. So, and it's only going to get better. So anyone saying, oh, it's not good ideas, is that whatever, AI, whatever, slop, whatever, like, trust me, I've seen most people's comments. I think comments are more slop than what AI generates at this point. And it's only getting better. Okay, next slide. And of course, you know, when we did that scene, we had some references created first for how it will look, what the vibe we were going for. Then we designed everything, right? Then we designed the actual cinematics. We already had the scene. So we fed the scene in Nano Banana and we said the scene looks like this. Okay, the characters look like this. Can you please give us specific shots? Next slide. Yeah. References and writing helps us get people on the same stage. Writing is just words. But you can now add images and video, and we are a video company, so we should be using more of it. Next slide. Okay. I think, like Ronit did, I think you should all write down your workloads and problem statements. This is a very useful exercise, which is what are your tasks ranked by priority. For example, Nitesh could say channel A need to hire an editor, channel B need to increase short forms to 20 videos a month from 10. Channel C, editor A needs references, editor B needs training replacement. We'll give him 1 month and then deadline and clear expectations. You can email the low performer. Well, the minute you have that, you can start emailing people, right? You can email the low performer by the end of the next 60 days. You need to be editing a shot of this quality, send a link within 8 hours. Editor A, B, and C of your years of experience can do this effortlessly, so you are lagging behind here. It's very clear expectation when somebody has in an email or verbally told exactly where they're lacking. Most people are just like doing things, they may be lacking, it's unclear, and then finally they get fired and they're like, well, what the hell? But if you give people expectation ki, I think you're lagging and this is the quality I expect you to get to in this amount of time, and you're clear about it, 1 month later they don't hit that, then you can actually let them go, right? You've been prudent about how you do it. So right now I feel you lack in the following areas, area 1, area 2. And remember, you're writing this, okay? And then show an ideal reference of what I want, where I think you can reach given your skill set. Suggestions for improvement, point 1, point 2. And remember this, okay? I think it's very important that you treat your employees like someone you are responsible for helping. Everyone can improve unless there's an attitude issue. I told you, skill is the least likely of the reason you might lose your job. In any company, not just here. If you have the right attitude, you can pick up the skills. As long as the company is not like bleeding money and needs to shut down in 3 months, there is time. Do not abuse people. I've seen this in Yas sometimes, and I'm just like, guys, I don't want you to do this. Everyone is human, and it's called the sunshine test. The sunshine test is, if I took what you said and put it on a newspaper tomorrow, front page of a newspaper, would you be ashamed? Right? And sometimes you might say some things that you're not ashamed of. You're like, bro, I fired this person, it was the right reason. I don't care if it's printed on a newspaper, I'll stand by what I said or what I did. That's fine. But if it's something that you'd be afraid of, that in a newspaper this would look bad, don't do it. Right? Just assume everything. last month we did like maybe slightly less than 1 billion views across our channels, right? So I think it's such scale that let's just assume everything we do is public, right? I think this is the right way to run a company. For everyone, even if you're not doing content, I think it's a great way to run your company. Maintain high context if you're giving feedback and checking for improvement. Okay? Spend the time reviewing and know why something is good or bad. Be clear. Okay? Your clarity as a leader or lack of it can make or break careers. You don't understand how much power you guys have right now because the company is scaling. All of you have significant budgets as leaders. So if you are not clear, you're breaking somebody's career. Or you can make it. Or you can get them to where you are at and make them keep growing and improving and whatnot. It's in your hands. With great power, sorry to invoke Spider-Man, but with great power comes great responsibility. Weak managers are afraid to fire low performers and in exchange lose high performers. Somebody like me would never work in a team where everybody else is a low performer. I'm doing like 90%. It's like a group project, right? One person is doing 90% of the work, everybody else is not doing the work. You don't want to work like a high performer doesn't want to work in a team like that. It's just like, what are you putting me through? I'd rather work in another place where I'm valued more. And you don't want to lose your high performers. You are as bad as your weakest link. Remember the cost of coordination. If there's somebody with a mountain high cost of coordination, no point working with the person. Next slide. Okay. Per day, just to give you a reference, and this is not to brag or anything, this is all for what's the top end, what's the lower end, right? Like me, for example, me telling the world or Tanmay telling the world that he writes so many pages a day was very useful because people can now set a benchmark that that's what top looks like. I don't need to be there, but at least this much I need to write. So I'm writing about 20 emails a day. I do about 80 to 90 work WhatsApp messages on the average day. I get about 300 messages, but that's because more from me as a content creator that spam is there. And I get 1 to 2, I'm working on 1 to 2 Google Docs a day, right? You can thrive on 1/10 of this. Right? So I assume you need to keep that current on all your platforms going. Slack, WhatsApp, Google Docs, that's where electricity flows. Right? So you can keep that moving at 1/10 of this, and you can really use AI to speed up and free up your time. You can use AI to set that context for you, and ideally, you work closely with an AI now, start talking to it enough now, so it knows enough about you. So next time you're writing for somebody else, you're like, please, expand this the way I would expand this. So it's filling in your context next time, so you don't need to do the extra writing. And I can't wait for the day, and this is not very far away, where you're talking to your AIs all the time, they know enough about you, and therefore when you're telling your teammates some feedback, you're like, I don't need to write that email, the AI will write the email on my behalf because it knows me and it knows where this person is lacking. That's the end goal, that's the hope with AI, and it'll get there at some point. Next slide. Lastly, and I know this has been a very, very long session because we've done 2 back-to-back, enjoy yourself and have fun. People forget that this is like a long sport, right? Like there's no point doing everything and burning out in 3-4 months. It's like, how do you maintain your endurance over a long period of time? And I think if you've seen the best companies in India, they've all been around for a long time. Maybe the company's been around for a short time. Like there's some companies like Emergent and all, they're growing very fast. You look at the founder's history, he's been grinding for a long time. Even us, you can say, look, you grew very fast in 3 years, but actually it's been a 10-year journey before that also, no? So all these journeys take a very, very long time. Everyone I know wants to be successful in their early 20s or mid 20s or early 30s, but it's okay if it takes time. Once you reach that destination, you'll find everything boring, right? It's better to enjoy the journey because the journey makes you so many memories over the long run. And I think the reason I really love EOS, and a lot of employees come and tell me that they really love EOS, especially leadership, is because like this is the closest they would get to being backstage at WWE during the peak years. Everything you do is public. Every video you make will get thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of views. And public is commenting on everything that you guys do, good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. It's a great place to be. And it's also a great responsibility. And responsibility, we need to, like I said, with great power comes great responsibility. I want us to apply that responsibility, but let's have fun and let's do it in a way that we enjoy ourselves over the long run. No purpose burning out. Awesome. That's it, guys. Thank you so much. And make sure you subscribe.